Air India crash, one report, and three reasons why the truth behind the crash will never come out. In my aviation experience over the decade, I'm going to talk about the reasons which goes behind such reports. While there is a history of the crashes with the Boeing, there are geopolitical reasons and multi-billion-dollar trade deals behind such reports. Airbus versus the Boeing rivalry, and India's own ambition to become global aviation hub. In this video, we are trying to connect such threads which no one is talking about and how blaming the pilot is the easiest solution. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and uncover such truths week by week. On June 12, 2025, Air India Flight 171 crashed, killing 260 people. Finally, after 1 month, the initial investigation report came. The initial report mentioned the failure of the fuel control switch as the reason for the crash. But it acknowledges the technical failure. It doesn't mention the reason for such failure. Was it a maintenance issue? Was it a design flaw? Or as always, Boeing was cutting the corner on the safety features. Mysteriously, at the end of the report, it leaves open-ended question to shift the narrative toward the pilot error. Let's have a look at this report. This is the initial investigation report of AAI. This is a total of 15-page report. On page number 6, if you look at the highlighted portion, FAA in 2018 have themselves admitted that the fuel control switch has a problem. Fast forward to the page number 40. If you look at, while the fuel control switch has the problems and has been documented, the narrative is slowly starting to build towards the blame on the pilots, where one of the pilots is asking the other pilot, why did he cut off the switch? It's not just an investigation, but also the Western media is starting to build the narrative to blame the pilot. Be it Guardian, New York Post, Washington Post, or ABC News, all are starting to blame the pilot. In fact, the Indian Pilot Union has already filed a petition in the court to go against such narrative. So here's the question, why the focus is on the pilots, when the engine failure was already known, documented, and was not corrected? Let's have a look at the history of the Boeing. This is not the first time a Boeing aircraft has crashed. Remember 737 MAX crashes? Lion Air 2018, Ethiopian Air 2019, United Airlines 2021, China Eastern Airlines 2022. More than 1,000 lives have been lost in the last 10 years. Why? Because of the mechanical failure or the software failure. But the pilot has been always blamed first. But why so many crashes are happening in last so many years? At the heart of it lies the Boeing versus aircraft rivalry. In 1970s, Boeing was the market leader in the commercial aviation sector, and it was called the Queen of the Skies. To rival, European Union launched Airbus. Even in early 2000, Boeing was the market leader, but something changed in 2010. Airbus launched A320neo. It was much more fuel efficient, longer in range. It took Boeing by the surprise, and it was a masterstroke. With the internal pressure to compete with the Airbus, the internal certification were rushed to launch 737 MAX and its design flaws, which leads to many of the crashes. Final result, Boeing market share even went further. Hence, at this politically sensitive period, if the Air India crash blame is also put on the Boeing, its market share is going to shrink further and the US-India relationships can go back. Let's zoom out and look this from the geopolitical angle. In June 2023, Air India and Boeing signed a $34 billion deal, ordering 220 aircraft from the Boeing. This was not just an aviation deal, but a handshake between the two nations, India and the United States. As a part of the deal, more than 10 lakhs jobs will be created in the United States. But that's not all. In India, under the Make in India initiatives, Boeing is going to set up a manufacturing facility which is largest outside the US. Boeing has already taken the 43 acres of the land outside the Bangalore airport, and it has created a joint venture between the Tata. But this was not just about the Boeing deal. While the eyes were on this $34 billion deal, something even bigger was going on. GE Aerospace, one of the largest defense manufacturers of the US, signed a deal with HAL. As a part of the deal, GE and HAL is going to co-produce aircraft manufacturing engines in India. For 30 years, India has been trying to build its own engine, Kaveri. But even after spending billions of dollars, India has not been able to produce the engine. Under the deal, GE is going to transfer 80% of the technology to India. Hence, it gives wings to India's engine program. This will replace Russia's MiG-29 and Sukhoi 2000. So by the end of the deal, Boeing will control our commercial aviation and GE will control our defense contracts. While India is negotiating a massive trade deal with US, publicly acknowledging Boeing or GE were behind this crash, does that fix into the picture? Not likely. India sits in the heart of the global aviation, perfectly sitting between the Europe and the Asia and connecting both the parts of the world. But in 1990s, India lost that momentum due to underinvestment and the bureaucracy. And the result? The Charkies and the Singapore Airlines, Emirates and the Dubai Airport, Turkey and the Turkish Airlines. Today, Dubai is the transit capital of the world. Not Delhi, not Mumbai. India has become the passenger and not the pilot of the global aviation world. More than 2 crore Indians fly internationally every year, and this number is expected to become 10 crores by 2035. But today, 70% of the passengers is taken by the international carriers like Emirates Airlines, Qatar Airlines, and the Singapore Airlines, making India a stopover, not a destination. Fast forward to January 2022, the privatization of Air India. It was not just another financial transaction, but a chance to play the lost glory of the global aviation hub of India. It was a chance to develop Emirates of its own, a Singapore Airlines or the Turkish Airlines, a national carrier capable of anchoring traffic in India and developing Delhi and the Mumbai as the global hubs. And with the crash of Air India 171, a dangerous narrative is taking place. If Air India loses, it will not be a loss of an airline. It will be a loss of the dream of India to become a global aviation hub. Finally, when you connect all the three dots, Boeing dark history, US-India trade deal, and India's ambition to become a global aviation hub, there are high chances pilots will be finally paid. What we are witnessing is not just an aviation tragedy, it's a convenient narrative carefully drafted to shield multinationals while scapegoating the last human in the chains, the pilots. Air India 171 tragedy is more than just an accident. It's a case study in accountability. Because when profits, politics, and diplomacy are at stake, the truth often crashes before the aircraft does. If we don't question the AIP report now, we risk repeating the history again and again. And the next time it happens, it could be you and me. This is not just an aviation, this is geopolitics. This is #Ashish.